Okay, okay. I know I love all my guests, but hey, I got something to say. Women around the world and men that support us. I just instantly fell in love with Nicole, which you've been knowing. I've been talking just a little about Club Ishi, but she's a hugger. How can I not love her? Nicole, hi,
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
honey. Okay, so instantly, of course, you know me. I'm always really optimistic. I thought she was just going to hug me.
Psych, everybody.
Warm, sincere, loving, I cannot tell you. And it
Yeah.
just worked out that at the last minute, one of my guests had to cancel, and boom, her name popped up. I just met her in Nashville, and here we are. We'll get into that and why I love you guys. It's so me. There's so many things to talk about. But how the heck are you today? And thanks for the glasses.
Oh, you are so welcome. I'm bringing it for you and all the ladies listening. I'm fabulous. I'm grateful to be here, to be alive, to be healthy, and be in business. Woo!
I know you come from Texas. Where in Texas?
A little bit north of Austin in a city called Hutto, Texas. I'm originally from Michigan, though, so
Oh,
Michigander. Woo!
my husband is from Michigan. So that's a whole nother podcast. But
Love it.
here we go. Let me tell you a little bit. Freaking love the bio. I just got done telling you this. Here's Nicole's bio. Hug addicted visionary and can you write my bio because mine is boring. All right. Hug
Got you.
addicted visionary and human catalyst with a flair for the unconventional. Let me tell you, it truly is. I thrive on helping companies build deep connections with their attendees and events that drive revenue. Well, we like that. Obsessed with growing all things women's sports.
Mhm.
I did not know that. As the co-mastermind behind the world's first secret business trip, I get to travel the world creating community with the places. By the way, I heard about that after I was 3 wines in, but that's another story. Community with places, spaces, and faces that make life freaking awesome.
There you go. Woo!
And you wonder why we get along instantly, right?
Yes.
Okay, so before we get into just the one thing you want to tell women in the world, and we'll build on it, I have to tell you that when I came to Nashville to speak at Club Ishi, I've never heard of them. I'm not from Nashville. They thought I was from Nashville, and that's why I got picked to speak, well, amongst other things. But I've never been to Nashville. So I always look to go to places that I've never been. And then I convinced my husband, road trip. So that's what happened. And I wasn't going to go to the dinner before. They have a dinner before. And my husband's like, well, if you take the flight, you won't make it. Let's drive there. So it was literally the day before we canceled our flights. My
That's
husband
awesome.
working in the car while we're driving, stop in Louisville so I can make the dinner. And Eric's like, it's going to be worth it. I'm like, okay. Then he gets to the door. The funniest thing, he thought he could go to the dinner. I'm like, sorry, husband, you have to go.
Sit in the car.
So he went out pondering tattoos in Nashville. But let me tell you, I need you to describe what goes on there because
Sure.
it is an unconference conference. It is a think tank, but I just got to get out of my head the way I don't even want to call it networking. You break bread, you eat at a
Yeah.
table, only first names, you fall in love, you have friends, and then you help each other.
Yeah.
Is that it? Tell me more.
Yes. So it's a spontaneous think tank. And one of the big ethos is, when you get invited to these events and being in the event industry, it's very stagnant and it's not built for everybody. And it's to me, it's the same as hosting somebody in your home. And so I'm like, what if we bring that mentality into this event and create, the spontaneous think tank experience, which is really about that human connection and removing all of these rules and weird and kind of things that come with traditional networking per se. And the first thing is like when you first get to an event, the worst part of an event is you have to stand in line, get your badge, and blah blah blah. What if it wasn't like that? What if Liz and I, the hosts of the event, right, are at the door and we're welcoming you in just like we would open the door in our home, giving you a hug, which is important. We also do high fives if you're not a hugger. And just immediately, like within the first 30 seconds, you're in the right place, you're welcome, and you know that you're connected. Like, wow, I can't, like, you feel special. I can't believe, like, they're running the event. This is their event, and they're the ones hosting me. It's because I think that's the most important place that you should be. You should be the first stop. And so, that's important to us. And then we make sure that we seat you ourselves and we fill the table as we go. So nobody's wandering the room wondering, where do I sit? Do I have any friends? Like, and we introduce you. Hey, Sandy, this is Bob and whatever. Okay, we'll be right back. We're going to fill the rest of your table. And then immediately it starts with a family style meal, which we would have loved for you to experience. The whole thing is family style in Nashville, but usually that's what it's like because the art of just, hey, can you pass the potatoes and sharing food is biblical. It's like way back in the day, and it's very human. And it's something that crosses all boundaries, borders, and like views. It doesn't even matter. When you share a meal with somebody, you just start in a different place with them. And it's not about like, so what do you do? And you're trying to find these weird networking questions because you're sitting down and you're breaking bread with somebody, and it just starts out differently. And when it starts differently, it goes and ends differently as well. And people just feel like, wow, like I don't even need to have any walls up. I don't need to feel like I'm working right now. Like I'm just a human meeting somebody else. And that's the basis of us as business is personal. But somewhere along the line, we've kind of been conditioned to think that it doesn't need to be that way. So it's our responsibility, as Club Ichi, when we put on these, is to make sure that like reminding people they're humans and giving them permission to be just that.
By the way, what she said is that and more. I mean, I've gone to a million networking things and I try to bring my energy and shift it, but I didn't even have to. I didn't even have to, like, I walked in and it was that way from soup to nuts.
Mhm.
And greeting at the elevator on the way up, come on, that's off the charts. I mean, I'm like, okay, I just got done driving 13 hours and it was worth it.
Yay! And that's so good. And what a cool journey that was. Like, I'm so excited you were there.
Yeah. And adding into it, the people that you attract because you've set that tone is that way. So
Mhm.
everyone is that way, and it's unbelievable. All right, let's go to the next step.
Yeah.
The next day is picked that night by sticky notes, big sticky notes.
Yeah. Giant sticky notes. So that's called crowdsourcing. And this can be done with any human in any industry at any age, which is great. And so we get these giant 4 by 6 inch sticky notes and we ask the same two questions. What problem or what challenge are you here to solve? Are you currently trying to solve? Or what is a challenge or problem that you've solved that you can help somebody else with? So now you have the sticky notes going up all over. And for us in the event industry is like at the end of, like about 30 minutes, people are standing there, they're reading oh, that's me too. I'm going to add a check mark to that one. Or, oh, that give me another idea for this one, and just kind of looking at what's is it's a state of the industry and a state of whoever the people are in your room when you're creating anything, any kind of a gathering, to get like what is currently on their mind. Because there's no way that you could have met all 50 people and having a conversation that gets as deep as what's the problem are you solve. Like there's just no way. But when you look at it on this board, there's absolutely the way. And so who are we as people to bring people together to tell people what they want to talk about by um, you know, kind of saying, here's the pre-done sessions, right? So keynote speakers are amazing to spark that inspiration. But if all you're doing at an event is sitting there and taking in information, and then you have networking
Yeah.
at a cocktail hour with it's not it, and it doesn't capitalize on the collective brain power and wisdom that's in the room. And that's what life is about, is making those cool spontaneous collisions of people in your life. And so we can kind of work that backwards and make sure that it happens. And so we take those sticky notes and we match up the haves and the have nots, and we text the people that have said, hey, this is a problem that I've solved. And we said, hey, there's about five, other people, there's enough people that are having the problem that you've solved. So you're going to facilitate a discussion tomorrow. No preparation, no presentation. You're just going to say, here's how I relate to the topic. And your job is to make sure that you facilitate the movement of the conversation in the room. That is it. And then people do that the next day, and that's the entire day.
It was a blast, and I got to do one. I was anxiety.
Yes, that's
I
amazing.
helping with anxiety while job hunting. All right, we're
Perfect.
gonna come back to that because I really do wanna get out now. The one thing you wanna tell women and the men that support us around the world, and you
Yeah,
said, "Tone it down? Never. Turn it up." Why of all the
absolutely.
statements did you pick that one?
I think because as women, sometimes we are wired for the majority, and I don't speak for all of us, but a lot of women, myself in the past, and just a lot of my friends, are just wired to be polite. And polite doesn't, and polite usually equals letting somebody speak over you, being the neutral energy in the room because you feel like you have a responsibility to control what's in the room because we're natural kind of peacemakers a little bit sometimes, as a whole. And what I've found is that is missed opportunities, and that's led to a lot of the things that they're not getting paid the same, and a lot of the bigger issues that are going on right now, for women, that a lot of them find themselves in that position, whether or not you agree with it or whether you don't. It just is. It's a topic of conversation. And so I'm just like, I don't ever dial it down. I don't ever tone it down. And nobody, and let somebody try and tell me to do that or try
Mhm.
and move the energy around me to do that. I've literally trained myself to be an expert of turning it up. And that doesn't mean to be in a negative way, but it's like if I need to be the example for other women in the room or for other people in the room to just be like, don't hold your tongue. Why are you sitting over there? Here is forget the table. Let's burn the table. Why don't we just move all of our chairs into a circle and have a conversation? Because I don't even like the idea of a table. You have a seat at the table. You can have a seat on the floor
Oh,
or
yeah.
anywhere you want if the table never existed in the first place. And so it's kind of like that's a, like an example of just being crazy, but that's the idea, right? Is kind of speaking what your great ideas are, because you know what I found, and maybe this is just me, but generally my ideas are better. But sometimes they're not, and that's when I know how to,
Yeah.
like, oh, that is a great idea and whatever, but that doesn't mean you have to be quiet or tone it down or be less. And so I've learned to embrace my muchness, and it's really been one of the reasons that we are where we are as a business. And I am kind of known for being the kind of person that I am. And for the most part, from what I know, it hasn't had a negative effect, only positive.
Yeah. So I got a bunch of questions for you, and I can relate to some of this, and we're not gonna get them all in,
Sure.
but the one thing, and so have felt this years ago, thank God I came out of it, but I was made to feel as if I wasn't allowing other people to shine because I was so over,
Mhm.
and it would people would come up to me and say, you really should go last. You shouldn't go first. You're taking it away from them. Why do you have to be so much? That doesn't allow them to shine and everything. And for years, I thought that, like, oh, I want people to have so much in life. I want them to get everything. I don't want to take the light away from them. So we're going to go with Sally Bell's question because I relate to this.
Uh-huh.
Dear Nicole, I was a big keynote speaker for many years. I traveled around the world, at least 2 or 3 times. Then I had kids, cool, cool, cool. I wanted to take a step back. And then I put myself out there, and oh boy, I felt as if, well, I'm going to just say it. I was too old to be all that. I can so relate to that. You shouldn't act that way at this age. And I know it's not true, but I really, really need the pep talk. Can you please help me? Love, Sally Bell. It's her fake name.
Yes. Oh, well, dear Sally, you're definitely not too old. I think that you need to refresh how you see yourself. And that will shine through as who you can be. So let's just switch the situation, because it's very unlikely that you're going to think, I'm not that old and I'm, whatever. Like if that's the kind of narrative that you have in your head, okay, cool. Like you can work on that long term, but let's switch something short term so it's not so long for you to get the results of getting hired. And so I would say to you that what is the benefit from having the experience from working, stepping back to have amazing kids and raising human beings, and then coming back now imagine all the things that you have to offer. That is a very
Mm.
different perspective. There are so many, it doesn't matter if they're young people, people older than you, people higher, they make more money, maybe they do, maybe they don't, doesn't matter, right? Different culture, put that aside and just think I've been through life, I've experienced life, and there's so much that I have to offer, and that I can position having been wise because I've been through it. The major people, why do you think there are speakers on the stage? Why do you exist? Because you're an expert in something in your experience and you're wanting to share it. Why is that not your life? Meaning the age and that kind of thing. I would love it if there was a 95-year-old keynote speaker that just talked about still being on stage at 95 and the top 10 lessons that he or she can teach you on how not, don't make the same mistakes. Here's my top 10 mistakes I made. As a 95-year-old, that room would be packed. But the position was he or she was 95. It's about the age because then everybody
Yeah.
automatically assumes, well, they've lived life. Well, absolutely. So lean into it. I have lived life. I've done my corporate career. I stepped back. I raised human beings that are successful. I didn't end up, I may still be in therapy, but I'm still alive, and I have a great group of friends. And here's what I want to share what I've learned from all of that. And then weave that into the topic that you're an expert in. Who wouldn't relate to that?
Okay, Sally Bell. I think you have your PR marketing person all wrapped up into one.
Woo!
Well, we all got stuff, whether it's age or whatever. So, is there a turning point when you said, hell no, I'm not going to turn it down? They
Mhm.
want to know is from a dude. Was there anything that happened, or were you always wired that way? We'll call him Johnny.
Yeah, I would say so, Johnny. I would say that there's a part of me that was wired in a way to never order off the menu. Like
Oh, that's
that
good.
is a huge thing for me and I make it literal. I don't even like to go to a restaurant and actually order off the menu just because I'm always wondering, well, that's cool that that's for everybody else, but what else? I have always been, be it first in the beginning, is just like from my personality, I always ended up somehow to be the exception. Man, we really love everybody. We really love you, and we don't know what it is. Or I once got a job that they didn't even have. I asked for advice and they literally were like, we don't even have a job to offer you, but we know we need you in our company. We have no idea what you're going to do. Here's a crappy salary that we're going to give you first. And then we're going to have you go around to the departments and you go find your hole because we know whatever it is about you, you're going to get this job.
It. Stop it.
I'm serious. It was my first kind of like turning point in where I got a real salary as a person. And so, but that's always been, I've been like, so be it my natural self kind of always worked myself into being the exception. Oh, we've never done this before. So now when we hear those, I was like, cool. Now that's the starting point for the expectation for myself is if I'm not already an exception 3 minutes in, or they've either gotten to me in a different way or I've gotten to them or whatever else, if we're not having something that they say that, then I'm bored and I don't even want that. It's not cool anymore. So why would I want to pick from like, well, here are your options. And I'm like, oh, that literally lights a fire in me so quickly that I'm like, oh, now it's a game because now I'm like, I am not purposefully going to pick from those options. I want something else. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to make sure it's cool. So I think that like when you know that that's where you have to position yourself to get opportunities that I wouldn't exactly call it luck. I would call it more
Hmm.
strategist at being an opportunist, right? I'm always looking around for like, oh, what's everybody looking at? I look at that and then I look what they're not looking at. So what does that mean, right? And in real life, a situation you can apply it to is at a networking event where the people are going and where they're drawn to, and if there's somebody there, don't go towards the masses. Don't go to look at what is not, where's the space? There is, where the value of the most business deals I've ever done have come from is the people that are hanging out in the hallways because whoever this person is that's drawing that much attention always has an entourage. And the entourage is never in that circle. So even if they're there with one assistant, that assistant is in the hallway. And the way to get to that person is to talk to the assistant and know that there's these people that are just watching it happen outside. outside on the perimeter. And that's where the opportunities in life come from, both an exact example and really not, is like you have a better chance of landing things where there's not, where everybody's not trying to get to, than you do where everybody's like, now you're trying to get to one person. How much attention do you think that person's going to give you when 75 people are trying to talk to him or her at once?
Okay. We're gonna push this, repeat, because so many people, they have trouble with networking. They know they should do it. And I
Mhm.
just want to hear you, make sure I got it.
Yeah.
When you go in the room where
Yes.
everyone's giving their attention, go the opposite direction.
Yeah. There's zones to the room.
Outskirts.
Yeah. So I think that the first thing that you need to know or think is, or learn, is I know how to look at this room and break it apart, because I'm going to tell you, once I tell you this, then you'll know how to apply it. So you're going to walk
Okay.
into a networking room and there's one bar or there's two bars. That means that there's lines. If you got there early, you don't want to talk to anybody that's in line at the bar, because those people are going to be of no value to you. Those people are, and I don't want to say that they're no value because they're low level. What I mean is, don't be the first person in line and don't talk to the first people in line, because you only have an hour and a half to work an entire room, and nobody that's that important ever shows up on time, and they do not stand in line to get their own drinks. And so now you know.
Whoa. This is mind blowing. How did I not know this at my ripe old age? They never show up on time.
Nope, and they never stand in line to get their own drinks.
Snap a
Because
room. Okay.
Because why? They have at least one person who's
I'm
going
with
to
you.
bring them the drink, and they're escorted in and they're escorted out. And so that is where, and when I say that's, like, if that's who your target is. If you're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
there, you don't know who you want to meet or whatever, you just want to meet anybody and you're nervous about, then stick to the walls, because the walls are where people go when they get their cell phone and they're a little bit nervous and they don't know anybody, and they're just like, okay, and they're going to try and find a table, they're going to lean on the table, and because they want some kind of force of protection, it's a psychological thing, that they want to be close to something, because being in the middle of the room by yourself makes you feel a certain way, and it's not cool or full of friends or confident.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
So if you want to find somebody that is also, now don't stick to those people the whole time, because neither one of you will leave the wall. But if you just want to start up a conversation to be like, I hate networking, walk up and say that. Oh my God. They'll be like, oh my God, me too. Right. And be like, okay, we're either going to help each other or we're going to split or we're going to do whatever. We're going to make a pact. And then you'll find your person that you can go and work the room with. And so that's generally like, if you're not good at it, you can, go and work, go
Love it.
stick to the walls, but you don't have to show up on time.
Okay. So just so you know, some of my greatest business deals have been done in the ladies' room.
Yep.
I've had meetings in the ladies' room because,
Yes.
and then I just I just start yipping.
That's it. That's it. It's a very personal place.
I didn't think of that. I mean, I don't keep them in there, but like even in Nashville, I've met some cool people in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's where it. Listen, I love hanging out in hallways and in the bathroom. I just
Okay.
sometimes hang out. That's where you meet the people.
This is so. I mean, I've been podcasting for 16 years, and I'm telling you, no one ever broke. I mean, I knew it was going to be valuable. Okay. So let's take a step back.
Mhm.
What I'm not sure of is when you talked a little bit of your first job, or one of your first jobs that set you on a trajectory. Is Club Ichi, is that full time for you or other branches?
Yeah, so Club Ichi is it's a
I said it right that time, not
yeah,
Ishi.
no, it's great. It's a private membership club for B2B event marketers, and it is what myself and Liz Lathan, who's my co-founder, what we do full time. So yes. So we don't even take on client work anymore, because now it's grown so quickly to make us focus fully on running the memberships and growing it by growing members and growing on the sponsorship side.
I'm so glad you're doing this because I cannot tell you. I had stopped going to so many events because they were just so boring. And another one of my friends, big speaker, just came back. I don't want to say where it was, but it was a huge conference, lots of money. And she was like, oh my God, Sandy, it was the same stuff. Now she did meet some context too, so she justified the expense and all that stuff. But
Mhm.
most of it, she's like, I wanted to bang my head. And guess what? It was in the wellness space and the food was anything but good for you.
Always. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a tough one. You know, if you're gonna specialize and say that your event is about something like that or whatever, like you just
Wellness?
nail, yes. And so I think it's sometimes it's tough. If I was them, I would make very different choices. But we've seen that for it feels like they're run by kind of an organization of like, well, this is what we do. Well, what if your company was designed to not be what we do and only do things the first time? So Liz and I try to never do the same thing twice or never approach the same thing twice, except for example, the spontaneous think tank format. That's what we know is tried and
Ah.
true, and it works. But other crazy big things that we do are only done that way once or only done once. And so the reputation that we have is we don't know what they're going to do, but it's always awesome. And so the anticipation where we say, you know, every event needs to have two things if you want to be cool and like have no problems with
Yeah.
audience acquisition. And it's as human beings, something to look forward to and something that calls you back. What are you as a human being looking forward to being like, I've been to a lot of things before, but I am so excited about this, and here's why. You know, as a human being, not as a professional, but as a human. And then what makes you want to go back? I don't know what, I don't even know how to tell you what just happened, but I know I am going back there next year. It's already on my calendar. If you have that, people that are so excited as a human to come and so excited as a, you know, to come back, that is a community. And if you know how to harness that and leverage that, companies that grow as community based or community growth companies and that know how to leverage the power of that to give, not for their business, but for the people as the flywheel, those are the companies that are blowing past everybody else, including the big companies who, after a while, the buyer's changing, the customer's changing, and they're not going to last forever just because they're big and they have a lot of money. It's because they know how to leverage and give these experiences for the people to connect with each other, and they know how to step out of the room to do that.
We were laughing the other day because I was talking to a bunch of people that go to so many events and they said, oh my God, if they say one more time, we want it to be interactive and an experience, and they deliver the same thing over and over again, I'm just
Hmm.
gonna pound my head. They say
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but they're not doing it.
There
And
are
so
words that I wish we could strike from people's vocabulary when it comes the word experience, interactive, engaging. Like nobody even knows what that means. And the word experiential as an explainer word. That's
explainer word.
I don't even know what the word is, explainer word, okay? But like, yeah, that sucks too.
So okay, now I totally understand it, and now it makes sense why the people you draw in, I mean, they are just you're drawing in the same kind of like-minded people that love, like, what's coming next, and I can't wait to go, and I don't know where it is. By the way, this one was at the Tennessee Titan football stadium. How the
Yeah.
heck you pulled that off? I mean, holy freaking moly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, ASM Global, they were, you know, an awesome partner that, you know, the Titan Stadium and so or Nissan Stadium where the Titans play. That was pretty awesome, but I think that it's them even as a partner, we look for you don't have to be like-minded, but you have to be like frequencied. And there's a difference because you don't want everybody to be like-minded. That would be terrible. Nothing would ever change. But to so you can have different opinions and different mindsets but to be like frequency, people that are drawn, it's the kind of people that want to
Mm.
experience something that will show up and say, I don't even know what's going to happen here, but I'm here for it. They could be nervous, which is not the same like-minded as somebody
I
who's
gotcha.
excited about it, but you're on the same frequency. Cool. And so that kind of interaction, and if you can build your world around that, is to attract like frequency people, then you can do anything you want because they're up for it or they're at least prepped and here for it and they show up and they're there for it literally in person.
Okay, that's brilliant. I just want you to know it's got to be coined.
Mhm.
I could feel the whole shift when you said that, because like-minded, it has a different connotation and you really don't want it, but it's more like
Yeah.
frequency.
Yep. And it's truly like, even if you look at, so for example, let's go back to the networking reception. Um, Maybe let's take a different thing, is somebody that shows up for an event that starts at 7 o'clock.
Right?
The people that are outside at 6:35, as opposed to the people that are outside at 6:50, are a very different kind of people. They are very like frequency. They're probably type A, and you should never sit them next to each other. You need to wait and hold the doors for those kind of people, because they don't self figure out how to like talk and whatever else, because they're all like, okay, so what's happening next? And blah, blah, blah. They have nervous energy if you put too many of them together. And so that's where it's like, when you're saying like frequency, right? They could be very different, opinionated, and think different things. But the type of people that show up early, for example, or show up late, are very similar to each other. And to mix those is a good mix of people. And that's really cool, because there's still enough that everybody showed up at this event. So there's the overall, but to get too many people, and we realized that as we were doing these think tanks, because we did a spontaneous think tank in New York City, and I kept walking by this table, and I kept telling Liz, I rolled by her, I'm like, something's up with that table. It's like their energy is punching me in the face. Like, it just was uneasy. Every time I was walking by them, I was like, is something wrong? Are they not happy? Their faces are a certain way. They're all matching faces. And then we were like, oh my gosh, it's the kind, they all showed up early and we all let them come in together, and therefore they sat together. And I was like, we can never do that again.
It's awesome. I'm telling you, I never put that much thought in when people show up, but now that you're saying it, it's like, it
Yeah,
makes sense.
you can't unsee it now.
It makes so much sense. All right, we're gonna run out of time, and I just want you just tell me a little bit about, I
Mhm.
heard some of it about the secret trip. So
Yes.
we had an after dinner after the event, and I went to it. It was awesome. So many fun people. And I was upstairs on some floor, and they were talking about, you just showed up at a
Mhm.
plane and you knew you had to pack this, but that's it. And they had no idea where they were going.
Yes.
And they
So
paid X amount of dollars, and
yes.
nobody knew where they were going. Is
Nope.
this like always you do this?
We've done it one time before, so it is the world's first secret business trip. And so in 2019, we had 80 experiential marketers show up at JFK at the TWA Hotel at 2 p.m. on November 2nd. We told them to pack for 5 days for 65-degree weather, to give me their passport in advance, to pay anywhere between $2,500 and $3,500 all in, which was very cheap. And that's it. And some people they bought a ticket 8 months in advance. And so when these people showed up, these 80 people in front of us in the room, they were shaking. We had to create a live stream for their families, because everybody's involved if you're on a secret trip, okay? Your neighbors, your spouses, your kids, all these things. Where are you going? We don't know. What did you buy? And just the energy around it. And so we revealed, by going 10, 9, 8, 3, 2, 1, Tuscany. And people
Excited.
were like, huh? Like, what? We had chartered a plane and we were taking them to Tuscany, and they had no clue. And so it was a magical trip. And then some things happened where secret trips weren't cool in the world. So for a while, but backed by very popular demand, we have one coming up in May of 2026. And that trip, yep. And so that's the next one. We have 50 spots, and we opened our first ticket drop and sold out in 20 minutes. And
Shut
so
up.
we'll do another. So we're splitting the 50 tickets into ticket drops. So just some at a time. And then, yeah, so we think our next one will be sold out in under 5 minutes.
Man, are people seeking human connection and journeys. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it.
Adventures. And if you think,
Adventure, the unexpected.
yeah, and talk about the power of connection with those like frequency people, because this trip is not cheap. it includes 2 flights. It's long. It's, and where they have no clue, it's just, and now we know the power of it. It ended up to be in Forbes. That was so exciting. And so now we know the power of what this trip is for both the people that are on it, the people that are watching, which is the media around it is going to be insane and so cool. And now we know the power of that. So imagine now we can plan it in advance. That's cool. It's just, it will be exciting if you're on it for sure, but it also be really thrilling and inspiring and just kind of get your butt off the couch if you're watching it from your house.
Yeah. Nicole, you've just been such a delight. And even for people that aren't in event planning or don't go to conferences, isn't speakers, I really feel as if your energy is sparking that when somebody's this is the big message you keep getting. Like when somebody keeps saying, well, that's the way we've done it, and we've never done it that way before. That's the whole reason why you want to do it the other way.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing. You don't want,
Yes.
and no business wants to stay status quo, and no person wants
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. And how cool is it? And that should be somebody, if you change the way that you listen or that you hear, I should say, if you change the way that you hear things like, oh, well, nobody's been able to pull it off. Oh my gosh. Then imagine if you were the one to do it. Right? And so that's the time when you try to do something that hasn't been done before instead of shy away because it hasn't been done before. And so that's
Right.
a different way of hearing an action that I would say do that.
Yeah, no one's pulled it off. Okay. All right. Any other closing words, my dear?
Oh, I think that was my closing words was
Yeah.
change the way that you hear.
Yeah, I love that. And how can they find you?
Oh, I'm on LinkedIn. So that's a big one. And then also if you want to follow, we're gonna do a big push to our YouTube channel, just at Club Ichi, ICHI on YouTube. And that's where you're gonna get a lot of our behind the scenes. Our personalities are really big that will be coming through. And you might see a little bit of the industry's first reality show dropping on our YouTube channel. So that'd be fun too.
And what if they wanted to join?
Oh, then that is weareichi.com. Absolutely. And it's only $350 for a year to get invited to all this crazy stuff. Get in here.
All right, my hey, I got something to say, people. Come on. She has something to say and more. Nicole and I would really appreciate you sharing, liking, and rating it and subscribing it. And you know what I'm going to say. Until next time, toodles. Thanks, Nicole.
Straight up.